And at the same
I
time,
don't care.
one thing to add on to the whole you owe 10 people is that you actually have nothing of value.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that you own that's actually of value. I mean, they can, as we can see with the housing market, we've seen there's even manipulation with metals.
Mm-hmm.
People will sell almost anything sometimes to live this lifestyle that doesn't actually exist or they own. And then more people are just adopting it.
Right.
Well, and my fear is with this destruction of, I guess, the U.S. economy is the U.S. dollar going to continue to be the currency? I forget what the formal terminology is, but the currency for the world, right? So you have
it's international currency.
I mean, you have the thought that the Chinese currency may be the standard currency of the world. My thought is, if we get to a point where we're so held down by debt, is it going to be very difficult for a foreign nation to come in and buy up real estate, companies that are publicly traded, anything like that?
I think we're on such a big scale too sometimes where it's like Facebook's giving all the information I give them to China. So
I was gonna say, aren't they already doing that?
Everyone's just in bed already.
China's come in and already started cleaning house on all the land that's available in the United States.
Yeah, they're
already doing that.
And our government officials and big companies are like, please.
Oh yes, help yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the thing
Don't
is,
even close the door on the way out. Let the AC just run itself dead. Go ahead.
They're all on the same page.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Just different approaches to devaluing or taking over something.
Did y'all take any loans out for college?
No,
me neither.
Worked my ass off.
I just
all the way through
paid.
college.
I paid. Each semester
as you go, and then when I couldn't afford that semester, I guess I just didn't go that semester.
Yeah, screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing I asked my mom. We were talking about this, and she's like, "Oh, this, and this." I'm like, "Okay, Mom, if someone came to you tomorrow and gave us $50,000, would you take it?"
I don't know.
Christy, would you take it?
If someone came and offered me just
5 people in your household and they gave you $10,000, would you take $50,000 tomorrow if someone brought it to you?
What are the strings attached to it?
I was going to say the first thing would be, at any point, are you going to come call to collect on any part of this, and not financially? At any point,
one point they will, I'm sure. Yeah, but that's like what the government's saying. It's like they'll roll up to your house and drop $50,000 out, and someone will go, "Man," Most Americans will go,
"Thank you," and walk away with it. I don't know. Yeah. That'd be weird. I mean, as much as I'd want to see that as a relief, I'd probably see it as be like too many strings attached to that.
Yeah, chains.
Like that.
Well, even that's the thing though. Coming from that perspective, it's like, well, they're gonna take it either way. They're gonna hand it to somebody else. So it's kind of like a tougher. Do you want to be that guy, or do you want to? It's gonna happen anyway to the next. It's just. I don't know. It's a terrible situation.
Guy. Yeah, it's kind of like being on Instagram with sales, just the stuff that's being charged for some of the bullion. It's just easier for us not to sell and not be that person. It's just much easier to not have to put our name on something at some point. We might have to, I don't want to say like have a quote, come to Jesus moment at some point. Someone's going to come back and try to sell it back to me, and now I'm going to buy it for $1 over spot, and I have to sit there and explain to them why I sold it to them for $40 more than what I'm going to pay them for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, can't.
It's tougher, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and our the thought process is, again, would you take $50,000, or because you're trading that $50,000 for the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into paying for your degree. I was talking to the cable guy restoring our internet at our house, and I told him they don't have any skin in the game, and he didn't understand what that meant. So you have all of these people that have no skin in the game when it comes to their degree. And I think it sounds noble coming out of my mouth, but I wouldn't trade a free ride for all of the time that I spent learning how to budget money, make money, save money, pay down tuition,
time management.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's perfect because we were at Chewy's with these 2 girls, and they're asking like what we're doing and all this stuff, and if we have any college debt. One's got $60,000, and I'm pretty sure one's got $250,000, and so their whole thought process has changed because it's like we were talking about the previous weeks. They've never seen $250,000 in their life.
Right.
So when you put $250,000 in front of somebody that they owe, they're like, what's Chewy's? I can go eat Chewy's.
Yeah.
It's just throw it on top. And so people's perception of money is so, it's like monopoly money, and their whole life ends up being to a point where they feel like someone has to owe them something because they are taking on this such huge burden. Like they're taking on bondage so that everybody else has to feel their bondage. What did she tip the girl? $2. They probably spent about $40 there. She tipped him $2 because she has more money than me. It just creates a whole atmosphere of being stingy, and all at the same time it's like these kids don't know what they don't know what $250,000 is.
Yeah, there's no learning consequences to actions with any of this.
Right.
With none of it. There's always someone there that's going to try to bail them out, and they're just going to continue to make poor decisions. It's just going to continue to tax everybody on top of it.
Well, it's going back to what you said. It's a form of slavery, and I think that, and this may be a theory or a thought in my mind, but I think that all of these major things that have happened throughout our history, right, from, and this may be off the wall for some people, but you have abortion, right? You have a lot of people on the top that are intelligent, but they don't want any competition. Abortion will abort a bunch of brilliant people that could have happened, right? A lot of potential, right? Same thing with debt. If I can stop somebody from inventing something, pursuing something, being something, I'm stopping competition completely.
Well, being at the right place at the right time. And that's what we were talking about with it's strange because it's like, yeah, an 18-year-old can sign up for $250,000 in debt.
Right.
And then they go, and you might have a chance at working for all these companies that created this, that pushed for this law that you can't get out, you can't bankrupt a debt.
Well, they're going to give you job fairs.
So if you think about it like, okay, we got all these lobbyists, and they tell the politicians, at least these kids can't get out on their debt. And then they go, oh, well, we got $65,000 for you to take this job. You can't find a job with it you really wanted. You can take this job and then pay what you owe. And then one day, which we talked about also, it's like there's a lady that was running one of our classes in high school, and she came in crying. She's 40 years old. They can't buy a new car or a car at all, and their car broke down because she owes like $900 a month, and she's 40 years old.
But here's also the insane thing too: is we sit here and think that this loan is money that's available when it's all our tax dollars to begin with. So we went and applied for a loan, which is money that we've been giving the government, just to then turn around and pay our government back on money that they gave us, that they taxed us for originally, for them to say they're going to forgive us, for us to do it all over again. That's also what people don't understand is these loans, one, are a made up number that someone's just going into a computer and being like, you need 60,000. There it is. It doesn't actually exist. But in taxpayers' money, it definitely exists, and they'll come for it. But it's money that we've already put into the system. We're literally just paying for everyone all ready to go, and then we're going to pay it back on top of that with interest. And that's what's even more crazy about all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a death spiral.
Your grandkids are paying for it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the strings attached. Is like, I'm getting $10,000 now with interest and it compounding over the next 30 years. What are my grandkids are going to have to pay for $50,000, $200,000?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're in worse financial situation as a nation, I mean, is it going to be $500,000? I mean.
And it also comes down to we're forgiving 13% of the population $10,000 each. 13%, like who is that helping? People that probably shouldn't have gone to college and pulled out these loans to begin with. Like, it goes back to the COVID thing. Why are we really just putting everyone else out for the minorest amount of the population? These 13% probably aren't going to do shit even if they did get rid of their student loans. So why does it matter if they're forgiven or not? They're not going to do shit with it anyway.
It's the hurt.
They're
It's the hurt.
Pardon
The
my
majority.
language. I'm
They're
sorry.
going to stack it. They're going to stack it up again.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. You just keep them in the system.
Well, why didn't they give $10,000 to people that already paid? So this is all the conversation. Why didn't we give 10,000 people that already paid off their student loans?
Yeah, bonus me.
Because those $10,000 are going to the universities.
Bonus
Because you already paid yours off. So it's really just the government saying, hey, we're giving you $10,000 that you're going to give the university that we own. Congratulations. And you're going to pay taxes on it.
That we required you to go to begin with.
Right.
And it rolls into state-funded education as well. I mean, you have a lot of these teachers unions that are getting probably kickbacks from these universities. Oh, okay. Send your kids here. Recommend this school. Go this route.
Oh, same with some high schools. Some of these private schools, they're definitely playing that game. Oh, yeah, there's big ones here in Houston playing that game.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
unfortunately.
Anybody listening, I would just tell them to boycott the corrupt temple that it is. I mean, I understand there's people have to make money, institutions have to make money, but they're literally robbing people of their lives. And a lot of, even if we play the devil's advocate with this $10,000, it's like, well, yeah, I was stupid and I was 18 and I signed up for this much. And yeah, I understand that, but that's basically what they were saying. It's like these kids aren't even old enough to buy a handgun. And they're going to go.
Yeah, but let's put them in debt.
Right, but we can put them in $250,000 in debt. No problem. We can do it tomorrow. Yeah. It's like...
Mind you, we never educated them on how to handle this either.
Right.
Remember, we were teaching them how to diagram a sentence.
Right. And there's no capitalism involved either, where it's like, well, $25,000 a year to go to this school, and I could pay it off, and I could do this. But it's like, or I could take a loan and be at this prestigious school, and it could. I don't really have to owe the money right now.
By the time I get the job anyway, I'm going to be rolling in cash
right.
to pay back.
We are literally talking about future things that aren't going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not encouraging massive student loans and stuff that they can't control, something that they can pay for in cash. What's an alternative to these 4U universities? I mean, what would you recommend, Blake?
So if you go to a trade school, I got the automotive degree as one of my degrees, and some of the cost was paid for by Bridgestone and Firestone.
Future
tires.
employers. Yeah.
So they see, okay, there's these guys that are in this program, and they're teaching them exactly what we need them to know.
Yeah.
And so if we
grooming.
Yeah. So if we see that they're doing good, they have good intentions, let's help them along the way with some cost. And so they pay a little bit here, a little bit there. So I think on the trade schools and the trade classes that there are big companies out there who do want to get good employees, so who are willing to cover some of the cost of schooling for some of the trade schools. So you don't have to go out and borrow money. You don't have to go and get a debt. You don't have to go and work 5 jobs just to pay for that semester.
You know what's insane about that? They don't have to get into debt, which is going to burden society, and they're restoring U.S. manufacturing, so we're not shipping jobs over to China.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're securing their
workers.
workers.
No offense, China.
And if they have a thought in their mind that
Yeah.
maybe I should start my own company, or maybe I should create a shop down the way, or maybe they can do that. They can expand America for what it is and what it was designed to be.
Yeah,
But
so say I Bridgestone and Firestone gave several grants for my degree, and say I went into that field and opened a business, and part of my automotive shop was, I can get you tires if you need it. Which brand am I going to be
Firestone
going towards? Firestone, Bridgestone tires, because they helped me, so I'm going to return that
Bridgestone.
favor at my business.
Heck yeah.
All boats are rising.
Yeah, so everything was, and they didn't just give money out just because you asked for it. You'd say, hey, I'm so-and-so, going for this degree, this is my goals, this is what I want to achieve,
right.
This is some setbacks, this is whatever, and then they'll read your essay and say, okay, this person actually, you're in your second year of college or whatever, you're doing something, you're not just trying to get some free money and go screw off.
Right. Well, it also goes to show when there are programs that have that kind of stuff offered, the confidence in the job market that those companies have when you come out of college. Even if you're in a trade school for 2 years and they're putting money in, they're banking that there's going to be a position, that the market that they're in is still very hot, that it's going to constantly be hiring people too. College, how many times have you heard anyone come out of college and be like, there's not a lot of jobs out there right now? Like,
come to a job fair and
there's
you will
not
be
a lot
hired
of
right
jobs.
out.
Yeah, the market's not that great right now. How many times have you heard that with people with degrees? And how many times have you talked to someone who has a degree and they're not using the degree?
But Christy, when you're not at school during the summer and you can't pay for a summer class, you can go intern for free at a company praying one day they'll hire you.
So I'm going to go spend
On a
3
string.
months
You are on a string paying
for free
ton of
for
money.
a company to help them finish a project that I will get no name accredited, nothing for the hope that they hire me.
So this is how I figured
Hope and a
out
wish.
personally
What a
that I knew
big
that
hope
college
that
was a
is.
scam.
Yeah.
So go for the automotive degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific path. I want auto mechanic knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't care about art history from the stupid whatever period. I don't care. That has nothing to do with auto mechanics.
I don't need to be
I don't
well-rounded.
care what social whatever class or whatever it is. That doesn't matter. I'm on auto mechanics.
Right.
So when I noticed that they were making me take all these other junk, non-related classes for an auto mechanics degree that had nothing to do with it, a scam. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all a money scam. Because if you really cared and wanted to put somebody in something, especially if it's an automotive degree or whatever degree it is, the classes should be based on that for education,
Yeah.
based on that.
Yeah. You
Not,
want them to be experts
not
in
some
this one
stupid
field.
art thing from, prehistoric times or whatever the hell, whatever
Picasso's
stupid
not
class.
going to help you figure
Who
out which
cares?
bit you're supposed to use to take a tire
Yeah,
off
it's,
of
it's
it. No
completely,
one's going to care.
completely
Yeah.
worthless.
Yeah, no.
Completely worthless. They
Yeah.
forced you to do it.
But I
Pay
think
for
with
it.
trade schools, I mean, it's like, oh, well, how do we put this ball back in the trade schools, part of the court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really do that sometimes now because it's like,
There's
kids-
too much money in formal
No.
education.
well, not
Yeah.
not that.
It really is.
It's that people's perception of money now. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about people's perception of money and then how that is applied to their kids when they're 18 years old and then they get trapped in these loans. Everything is just fuddy-duddy. We don't understand. We'll think about it later. But with
Right.
trade schools, it's like there's no expansion of that sometimes because it feels like it's still so hardwired in that you got to have the car. That the people will like, you got to have the house. People like, you got to go to
Right.
expensive dinners. You got to, and so someone goes, I don't really want to go to trade school. I want to have the experience, and I want to go where my friends are. And so it has to be a complete re-engineering of society and the way to think about money. And then trade schools will be relevant, and then colleges won't be relevant. But until we do that, I think colleges are still going to run the course.
Well, I think colleges and trade schools are on a different level. I think, like you were mentioning, some of these colleges have alumni funds that are in the billions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have that magnitude of funds being focused in advertising and almost brainwash to an extent to some of these future loan getters, I mean, it's just going to be more and more difficult. I mean, from my understanding,
They
trade
win
schools.
with capital.
I know, but me not knowing anything about trade schools, I would assume that they're very lean, and they're not extravagant. It's get in, get out. I have no experience, so that's my assumption.
Well, it's definitely more lean than a college.
Oh,
Yeah,
most
because
definitely.
they'll
They just-
rely on donations from, let's say, mine was the auto mechanic, so they'll rely on donations from so and so company that makes auto lifts to donate a couple of $10,000 lifts for the kids to use,
Right,
to
like
learn
used
on,
stuff, yeah.
or these specialized tools or this computer system to check so they're relying on outside sources to donate these big key things that they might not be able to afford, where if it was just a regular college, they'll just throw money on it. Yeah, go buy it. Take it out of our $46 billion fund.
And it's also backed by the U.S. government, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the curriculum definitely for trade schools is leaner for sure. It's getting to just this. You came for automotive. This is what it is.
I want to learn how to weld.
We're not going to
teach
give
me
you
how to weld. That's
we're
it.
not going to give you the business side of it, the administration side of it. We're not giving the financial side of it. We're not giving you any of that. You said you wanted to come here and learn how to make a car start. We're going to teach you how to make a car start. So it's very much that way. It's the same way with a lot of the certifications that I have. It may be a sports performance nutrition degree, which sounds very broad, but no, it's very this certification is directly for sports performance. People that are in high activity perform at their peak, and that's it. We're not giving you all the fluff or anything about it. We're not giving you special cases. We're not giving you all that kind of stuff.
You're like a bullet.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is what you came to learn. This is how it's going to be. And I personally love that because I feel like then you learn more by experience and forced to actually do it versus people coming out of college. It's this, I have a degree, so not only do I know everything about my degree, I know everything about everything. And it's not that,
And-
okay, you went to college, you got some few courses that weren't related at all to what you went to college for, and you paid a lot more money than me. But at the end of the day, the fact that I had to struggle to work, to pay for my degree, to actually get any kind of certification or degree, I now have more experience and better knowledge of the world and how to pay down my debt, how to not get in debt to begin with, how to handle my finances, how to handle all that kind of stuff. The entrepreneur now has been born versus a drone just told, this is what you're doing, now pay it off. I think that's also a trade when it comes to trade schools versus colleges. There's an expectation that comes also, which is a terrible expectation.
Well, I think that for trade schools too, they think we're going to buy a lift. Well, how are we going to pay for it? Or it's ran like a business, or it will fail.
And we're just going to pray someone's
we're going to pray someone.
Yeah,
and we're going to have to spend extra time and volunteer and see if someone can pay us money. Schools are like, we got the federal government. We pushed up rates that 1,200% for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And
we got money we're sitting on forever.
And you know where all those assets go? They go on to some government surplus website and they get sold for pennies on the dollar.
They hope they don't make anything on them.
No, they probably find some way to make it a tax deduction or donation, and they still somehow probably get money out of it.
A loss on an asset.
Yeah, and they probably still get money out of it.
They've already depreciated it out and gotten tax benefits for it.
They're making money every piece of equipment they buy.
I know this is alternate, I guess off the wall, but if somebody's really passionate about being an auto mechanic or being a welder, right, do you think, I think that there would have to be some physical application, of course, but do you think that if somebody was determined to be a welder, they could go onto YouTube, other video platforms, and learn if they were consistent and they watched videos, for example, 4 years, like a degree, and they got everything that they could off of YouTube, and they got some physical applications, worked for free at a welding shop, that they could meet the challenge? I mean, YouTube is a wonderful resource, and I don't think that it's appreciated enough when it comes to higher education.
You can circumvent having even a,
and it's all free.
You can circumvent having most of that stuff if you're well trained enough, and you don't have to have a degree or even have to have a certificate sometimes to open your own shop and have your knowledge run the roost. And if it fails, that's capitalism, because you didn't prepare yourself enough and you didn't want it that bad. So I think people can definitely do that today and still make a killing.
I'd like to hear you answer that, Blake.
Yeah, for YouTube, for sure. I think there's so much information on there that if you're you're wanting to learn a specific skill or something on there, that you'll be able to figure it out. Now, will you mess stuff up 100 times and hurt yourself and destroy property? Probably. Yeah, you'll probably mess some stuff up doing it yourself. But
ruin things.
You will learn so much more doing it yourself, trial and error. For when you do get really skilled in the trade, you're like, okay, this was when I was first starting, this happened, I remember it forever.
Yeah.
And so definitely you can learn almost anything on YouTube or the internet with all these whatever chat forums or whatever they're called.
Well, and especially now with TikTok made me do it. All these people are actually trying stuff now because they see everyone else doing it online. Yeah,
when you get into, let's just say, like auto mechanics, so there's like you go on YouTube and you're gonna find more specific things like, oh, I have a 2007 Lexus whatever so and this is the problem I'm fixing.
Right.
Well, if you understand the concept of what that part's doing, then you can roll that over to other cars. But you usually don't get taught that on YouTube. Yeah. Like the actual underlying concept of what this part's doing in the whole system. Yeah. So if you have a different, so if you have a 2008 Toyota or something or whatever, a Ford this or whatever, and you're having the same issue, you can kind of figure it out by based on those underlying things that that you really didn't get taught by watching this video of I'm changing this specific part for the specific vehicle that's going on. So if there's some stuff you probably won't get taught. Concepts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for the biggest picture, like welding and stuff like that, there's definitely techniques and stuff. And I've seen a lot of welding videos where they're actually trying to teach the technique versus just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how you weld and go make $1 million.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're actually trying to like slow it
Yeah.
down and
Yeah,
give you the
so,
tricks and
yeah.
hints and
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I
for
use it
sure.
all the time. I've used
used it
YouTube
for
since
so
probably
much.
it, came on available.
I'm not gonna lie. You tell me how to pretty much do everything the first time, and about 50% of the time I'm going to YouTube. I know he showed me how to do this, but I don't remember how.
Right.
So like
Yeah,
every
it's free
piece of
information.
Oh, yeah. It's
that
an
someone's putting
untapped
out there. Now,
resource.
did they pay to get that information? Maybe,
Yeah.
but they're giving it to you for free.
Yeah, and take advantage. I think it's interesting. There's a trend or an audio going around on Instagram right now that says nobody's actually talented. It's just some people have practiced certain areas more than others. Everyone's capable of being an artist, being a singer, working with your hands, all that kind of stuff. It's the amount of
Discipline.
but the amount of attention you give to something to learn the process and learn how to practice it and actually how to master some of these things. A lot of it comes down to where are you putting your attention? You could master how to draw if you're not sitting and scrolling on reels for 2 hours at night.
Man,
You
I wish I could draw. You know?
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff. You can, because the people that did draw at some point just picked up a pencil or a pen and just started drawing, and then worked on eyes first, and then worked on the nose, and then worked on how fingers are supposed to look. And then all of a sudden you've got someone selling art. So it just kind of comes down to the attention you put everything to. Trade schools give you the basic skills to master every skill.
Yeah,
So
then,
it is-
Then you can go and practice the
Then you can-
skills,
yeah.
these individual skills and techniques.
Yeah.
And then you form your own skill.
Yeah. You take it and turn it to your
Yeah, you
own.
can twist it, you can hybrid it out, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
Entrepreneurs are born from trade schools. Drones are born from colleges.
Yeah, 'cause there's-
No offense. I've got a
Yeah,
degree too.
Like we were talking about with
like
the-
I'm not. Like I've got a degree, so
We don't
I've
take it
been through that
to heart.
system. So
We were talking about with the robots, with the chef, the line cook robots at the fast food restaurants.
yeah.
There's a lot of like, if you're in a specialized trade job, there's no robot that's going to come and do that, not anytime
Yeah,
soon.
there's no
There's some
welder
stuff that you just
robot.
you have to have a person to do.
Mm-hmm.
They can't come and just buy or make a robot to do your skilled trade.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to fix the robot.
Some
You can be
there's
replaced.
there's always a human involved in these skill trades.
Yeah. If you can be replaced by the internet or by a robot, maybe that's not somewhere you need to be
Mhm.
focusing too much attention on,
Well,
because you will be replaced.
I feel like some people, like, I feel like some people should start to approach life as you almost should shoot to be limitless in what you can think you can do. Where it's like,
yeah.
where it's like, I was thinking about an idea the other day, and I'm like, well, why can't I do that? Somebody else has done it. They've had it off worse than me. Why can't I do it? And sometimes people just don't think about how limitless they are until they tell themselves that they are limitless. We all have our limits, of course, but if you come from the perspective of, well, I gotta go to work tomorrow, and I gotta do this, and I got,
Right.
yeah, but think about like how you have to restructure your life and how the next 5 years can look. But some people just, they don't come from that approach. They feel like they're only set to do a certain thing and do the same thing every day forever. And yeah, it just needs to be a rewiring of people's thought processes.
Salaries did a really good job of turning into people that just don't want to do stuff and think they have to keep working. They're a slave. It doesn't matter. The salary is based on a 40-hour work week, but because when you get moved over to salary, you think you're supposed to just work 24/7 and they own you. No, they're paying you for the 40 hours because they know the productivity they're going to get out of you for 40 hours. But then people stay late. I'm a product of that. I did that for a job. I was with Blake when I was doing that for one of the companies I was with. I was getting there way too early. I was staying way too late. I was always available and on call on the weekends, even though I wasn't getting paid for that time.
Well, Christy, you're told to work 40 hours, but you were being evaluated for 80 hours of work.
I was being evaluated for my
You're
life.
behind, Christy.
Yeah, I was being evaluated for 24/7 work.
Right.
We went down for my birthday to Fort Lauderdale, in Florida for a spring break training camp because I was a big Astros fan, still is. Woo, go Houston Astros. But even on that trip, I was getting blown up with work calls and nonstop. We need you to answer this. We need you to do this, blah, blah, blah. Didn't matter that I told everyone. Weeks, I think a whole month and ahead advance. I will not be here these dates. You will not get a hold of me these dates. But then we have that expectation as that's 9 to 5, but that's what's ingrained in us with college. And when we were younger, I think it goes back to that generational, as we are going to go to college with all our debt. So now we have to work it off and we just have to be a slave to that job too. I think kind of like what you were saying, when you aim to be limitless, the 9 to 5 turns into 9 to 5. You stop spending all that extra time because you can go home and you know what? Been wanting to repair those cabinets. I'm going to repair those cabinets. I can do it. What's stopping me? I don't need to hire someone to do that. I'm going to just do it. Let's just do it. Which then that turns into I can work on a garden and that's achieving. And then I want to go do this. I want to go do this. And now this obsession with working is just so tiny because now you're like, I don't have to be there. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
But it's the deprogramming. We got to remind people it's home is where you need to be building, not in an office.
Yeah. At the same time, too, we've been in situations where me and Casey try to convince people to think differently, right? And then you start to ask them why they're not doing that when that's their ambition, right? My ambition is to have this many followers and then have this much income and this, and I'm like, okay, then why aren't you there? And she's like, well, I don't think I can do this, and I don't have enough time for this. So for us, we're coming from the perspective of, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. What do you have to give up? Mm-hmm. And there's some people that are just no, man. They're just no. It's like the reason why you don't have something in life sometimes is like you are literally every time something of something that would give you joy and give you hope and fulfillment, people back themselves up to, well, what if it doesn't work out? Well, what if it doesn't do this? And what about my time? And will it be really worth it? It's like for me, sometimes when I'm trying to convince somebody and they're in a perspective of no, like if I take it to even a small amount, getting across town for a connect group at a church.
Right.
It's raining. Okay. I don't have gas. Go to the gas station. People go, well, it's raining outside. I don't know if I can drive in the rain. Well, so there's just two different approaches sometimes to life where you have to break through somebody that just wants to create reasons why they don't want to do things.
Yeah, they've had no one tell them an alternative to it. That's why it's raining. Right. Okay, well, your car was tested and allowed to be driven on the road in these conditions. And if you just leave 15 minutes early so you can go a little bit slower, you can still get there on time. And then when you put them to that, they're like,
but but I'm coming from golf.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I might be running late because of this. Okay, and when you get here, we'd love to have you. You don't have to be here on time.
But if you boil it down to its most basic form, they didn't want to go.
Yeah, and it's okay to say I don't want to.
Just tell me you don't want to go.
Tell me you don't want to.
We don't want to work through that.
What's the saying? An excuse is just something wrapped in a lie. I forget what it was.
I know what you're talking about.
Profound. I don't forget the whole.
So thing. Profound, Casey forgot it.
Well, I've been thinking about.
I know what he's going with that though.
I've been thinking about this whole situation with Blake, right? I mean, you encourage internships during college, right? Mm-hmm. Well, by the time you're 2 years, 3 years into college, you've already accumulated 75% of your debt. Mm-hmm. Why don't you have a year or two before you go to college, after high school, where you try something for a whole year?
Yes.
Or 6 months. I want to be an auto mechanic. I'm going to go work at an auto mechanic shop, and I'm going to sweep floors because that's the only thing that they're going to let me do. But I'm going to be there for 6 months, and I'm going to see if that's what I want to do, right? And I think with Blake, it's like I got a degree or a certification, whichever is a degree. Mm-hmm. It was natural. It started from when he was a small kid repairing his four-wheeler, right? Mm-hmm. It worked from there. Natural progression. Somebody spoke into his ear, or he heard something about getting a degree in auto mechanic, and that's where it went. It didn't go further than what the natural progression was. Mm-hmm. And I think with these higher education situations, it's like I haven't tasted what the end goal is going to feel like for 6 months in an internship before college or before I get debt, and it's not natural. It's taking me from me being in high school, hating my life, and not wanting to go to school because it's so structured to
paying for it and then hating it still.
Yeah.
Well, and we go from an environment, even with public school, being at home and being sheltered, to then being shoved into college. And some parents do keep up with their kids, and they stay, whatever you want to consider sheltered in colleges. And then they're thrown into the world. And that's the biggest, I think, aggressive shift in such a young person is one, they don't, like you were saying, have any background or consideration to what they want to do. What they really have a passion for, because they've been swept up in high school. We were all there. We were too busy about our relationships than where we were going to go afterwards. But But then we did get like shoved into college, and it was like kind of a boot out the door, like figure it out. And then, you know, you just got kicked out the door by your parent. I mean, yes, obviously some scenarios where we have amazing parents that were there for us. But when it comes to actually just looking at the whole scenario, we're not even old enough to buy alcohol, and we're barely trusted to buy tobacco. And now you're telling me that it's okay for me to pull out a loan and start ranking up debt and to choose what I'm going to do for the next 80 years of my life if I can't retire?
But
with no experience or background or any kind of testing in the
I
field.
might like this.
we've all
Yeah.
also ran into kids too, where it's like,
let me be a nurse and figure that out later. Like, no.
well, there's also people with like health conditions, like mentally unstable, but they didn't know that
Right.
until they dumped that much stress on them. And now that they have all this debt from college, because you actually figure it out until you're in college. Because why? We're dumping all of these choices, all this debt.
And we've been sheltered up until this point. All
Right.
these decisions were made for us until this point.
no,
And then
no
they break-
routines, no more, no
Yeah.
structure anymore.
And they break
No.
down their selves mentally.
Yeah.
And then you could barely, they're even worse off than people that have to pay down their student loan debts, because they literally are dumped in these situations where they feel there's no escape.
That's why the dropout rate's so high as well. And they still have the debt and no degree.
I strongly recommend everyone should have to work a year before going into college in any job.
They should serve in the military for
I
2
don't
years.
pick a job. Pick a job. I don't care, but pick something where they have to work for at least a year before you go to college, so you can kind of get an idea. Be like, do I like customer service? Do I like people in general? Do I want to sit in an office? Do I want to be hands-on? Do I want to help people? Do I want to do construction? Do I want to build? What? But a year, even just in a retail job, will give you that idea. Damn, I'd much rather be doing something with my hands. Okay, I can do customer service. Oh, I like being around people. Oh, I like handling money. It gives you enough opportunity to be like,
You're not in fuddy-duddy land
Yeah.
of wondering what it's going to be like
I'm
after you have all
starting-
this debt.
I'm starting to get paychecks, so I'm at home with my parents who can show me how to save, how to get a credit card, how to start paying that off, how to help me manage that kind of stuff at a young age, versus just being like, I don't know about y'all, my parents were like, here's a debit card. And as soon as I hit that limit, I had a very, very angry dad down in Galveston being like, what are you spending that money on?
Right.
So,
Yeah, it refers back to like the way me and Casey think about business. It's like there's growing pains to every business, and
Oh,
when
yeah.
should you execute on those, right? But I feel like sometimes with parents, they think, well,
what's growing pains and what's enabling?
they were 17 yesterday, they're 18 today. They're growing at exponential rates.
They're adults.
They can make insane decisions that are going to be so great and impactful, and it's like, what changed from yesterday to today?
You're
The
still
parents
buying,
gave up.
You're still buying me ramen. You really think finances are something I can juggle right now? Like,
Yeah, it's like, well, you're a man now. You got to figure out all this
The
stuff.
parents have given up.
Why don't you
At
say,
18.
hey, by the age of 25, I'd love to know what you want to do. For the next 7 years, you need to figure it out. And I wouldn't recommend debt.
oh, 25. That's graceful.
I'm
I'd
just
be like, by the age of 20, you need to have something going. You
no.
have a
I'm just
job,
saying it's like
a little nest egg.
there's
some
no
silver
there's
in your
no
pocket.
taste of life. It's like
Oh,
you're saying,
yeah.
it's college. No, it's high school, college. Hopefully, someone will take me, and I have a bunch of debt. Why don't you say, you know what? You got 75 more years when you're 25. Why don't you go figure out a few things that you're gonna fail at, things you're gonna be good at, and then to form a decision about it.
Right.
And even if you have to eat crap at an apartment that you don't want to live at, when you're 20 to 25,
It's growing pains.
that's just something that at the end of the day, you're going to enjoy the 75 years when you're in pain for 5 years of just trying to figure it out and growing pains.
I would agree. I would totally agree with that.
I think if something that is taught in a degree can be taught at a community center, then
Shouldn't be a degree.
You can't get a loan for it.
Yeah. I would
Yeah,
agree.
part of
If I go to get a librarian degree,
part of the automotive degree was it was I think one semester as an intern at an automotive place.
Oh,
or it
wow.
was the internship was the name of the class. So
Right.
you pay the school for you to go work for somebody else for free. As the class, basically, right?
he's holding back all these right answers that I was asking
Basically, so an
Yeah.
internship is someone working for someone for free, but learning. They're getting, they're getting something out of it. But
Right.
for school, for the part of the college degree was you have to pay for one class of internship. You have to pay the college to go work for somebody else for free. So this is where I like thinking out of the box on a lot of stuff I do. So everybody else that went through this program went interned somewhat at a shop work for somebody for free. So I'm just thinking in my head, well, why are they making us pay for a class that we don't go to, that we just go work for somebody else for free? It's like,
It's the experience.
well, what if so I went to the teacher and I was like, hey, what if I just, started my own business that's auto mechanics and I work for myself? He's like, it just blew his mind. No one's ever asked him that before.
Right.
He's like, I'm gonna have to look into that.
And that became an option.
And so the next day,
Because
next
you came
class,
along.
he came back. He's like, yeah, I talked to the dean, and they don't see why not. It kind of blew his mind. No one asked, because during the automotive program, they don't teach you anything about business
Right. Or entrepreneurship.
or entrepreneurship or nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm already thinking about, well, I want to do. I'm taking this degree, so maybe I can open up an automotive shop one day and build some cool cars or something. So I'm already thinking of that. So he comes back. He's like, yeah, sounds good. Do it. So me and a couple guys in the class, I said, hey, I know y'all don't want to go work for someone for free. Let's make this business, and we'll just work on people's cars, and we'll get the credit. And we got the credit. We formed a little business. We were able to use the automotive shop at the school, all the tools and lifts to fix people's cars.
That's awesome.
So what was the business called?
Shocking 'em Automotive. It was back in the day when the shocker was a thing.
Sounds like a crappy dance move. Shocking them.
Oh, it's worse.
The shocker.
The shocker.
Don't Google it, kids. Everyone under the age 18, don't Google it.
Back then, it was cool, not right before swag, or
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
it's
I
just-
think it's down the gutter somewhere.
Yeah, it's left
Yeah.
together.
So it was a big trend. People.
We
Trendy.
have some hats
So-
from that still.
Yeah, I had
We
we
have
had
some memorabilia from your.
had hats made. We had some shirts made.
Yeah. But I think we still have the
legit.
hats.
Yeah. So we had to document, and show the teacher at each week or whatever, every 2 weeks, that we were working,
Yeah.
that we were actually in the business working, and show them the
Servicing.
receipts and stuff.
Yeah.
It was people at school. We were just fixing people's cars
That's awesome.
from school, getting paid by them.
That's awesome.
So we were taking a class that we were forced to take, to pay for, to go work for someone for free, and turn it around where
Yeah.
we're making money getting to use the school stuff for free.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. I think that's what I also love about some of these trade schools too. A&M is really good about it for their veterinarian school, which is not a trade school. I'm aware of that. It's a university. Blake and I got the wonderful experience of finding out that no one south of A&M College Station will take care of goats in emergency situations. We had a wild dog get into our field and go after one of our goats and took a big chunk out of his backside. That night we learned no vets knew how to take care of goats, and we had to take the goat all the way to A&M, which was a 3-hour drive in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they were open 24 hour.
But the great thing is like they charged, I think, just the stall renting fee for him to be there because they got to work on a goat for free. All the students got a chance
Yeah, learning
to
experience. It's an animal that they
experience
probably
him.
don't.
Yeah, a fainting goat
Yeah.
that they don't get a lot of, and got to see the injury and how to address the wound and everything. And I love when colleges actually still do that kind of stuff where they want the young adults and the people
Yeah,
there
they want that
participating
experience.
to actually experience it before they go out there. And I love that A&M's really good about that. I know they do that also with other livestock or spading days and that kind of stuff. They have like a day out of the year where you can like bring your animals up for free because they need all their kids to get like through the program and spade as many animals as they can, so they can learn.
Like our
neuter.
teachers that were in the automotive program, there was two main teachers that taught most of all the classes, and they were old school automotive, motorhead guys, love cars and stuff. And so yes, they would teach what they were told to teach in the book or whatever, but then for 3/4 of the class, they basically were like, do something.
Yeah, they were just there to advise.
Fix something.
Like a mentor. Yeah.
Find something, fix it. What's the problem? Go find the problem, fix it, do something.
Yeah.
Call someone whose car's messed up, bring it in here, and you fix it.
So Blake found a problem and then he fixed it.
They were encouraging the students to just go do it.
Yeah.
Use your brain.
I don't need to sit here and tell you, okay, turn that screw left, turn this screw right, plug this in,
If you
unplug
do
this.
This will happen.
It was all trial and error, like the old school method, like go figure it out. Go try it. If you fail,
Yeah.
then you've got experience and don't do it again.
Yeah. Now you know what
And
not
there were
to
teachers like that. They showed us some cool stuff that they were supposed to, but then gave us the freedom to go way beyond that and do way more advanced projects every class.
That was the goal of higher education to begin with, was
Problem solving.
people that were in higher education, they had made their brains available
exposure
to find problems and fix them, and then profit from them, right? But now it feels like we're in a stage where it's like
required.
We find a problem, and we should be a little part in fixing it, and we need to do it forever. It's like, no, you need to find a problem, you need to fix it, and you need to be in a place financially and mentally to where you can have your mind open up to find more problems to fix.
Right.
There's too many people that follow manuals.
So if we threw debt out, then we would have a bunch of people that want to solve problems, would figure out how to fix them, and then go on to the next one.
I would agree to you to some extent if we got rid of all these little bailouts and quote unquote forgiveness, because we're not forgiving anything. It's our money that now we're getting paid for, charged for again. I think just even learning how to get out of your own debt. Okay, obviously what I'm doing right now isn't working and I'm stressed and overstimulated all the time. How do I stop this? How do I start liking myself again?
Right.
Okay. So even if you're 40 and you have to change career paths,
it's your life telling you to
40.
change.
You're 40. People change career paths at 65. Some people don't even become millionaires until they're like 80. Like,
when did your dad open a coin shop?
When did life stop at 30? If you're not somewhere at 30.
Right.
Yeah, he was probably 40 something.
I was going to say, yeah.
But now, debt is not always bad.
Not always.
Yeah.
It can be a great motivator.
You got like different people who talk about debt, and you got like the Dave Ramsey's, who was like, no debt, no matter what, no penny. You don't know, one penny.
Well, he's coming from a thought process that people are financially illiterate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants to coach them to get payback.
It's got to be so basic that they can't mess it up.
Yeah, and so his thought pattern is no debt, no matter what, and then you get other people who are become super rich off of debt that they've made for themselves to bring themselves to another level, to leverage on this and then leverage on that and leverage on this. So not all debt's bad. Not all debt's good.
There's a common ground.
Yeah. So you got to be, it's not, it's not just black and white, one side or the other.
Yeah. I mean, you still have to play the game. Unfortunately, we are
getting a debt that is, sometimes there's, it used to be auto loans, might be get like a really good introductory loan with this company, or auto loan that's like, 0.5% interest rate.
Right.
That's damn near free money right there. So if you were in the market for a car, that's good. That's a good debt, because you're going to get more benefit out of that than what you're paying. You could use that car or vehicle to go make tons of money on their little bit of money that they're charging you.
And not to mention this, thing that we're a slave to is our credit score. I mean, you having a few loans out and paying them off in a timely manner, including a credit card, paying it all in full and all that kind of stuff, can help you more than hurt you in those ways. As long as your
credit score with debt.
All that
you're
kind
responsible.
of stuff.
If you're responsible with the debt, it can be in your benefit.
It can be in your benefit.
If you're irresponsible with like the student loans,
destroy you.
It'll just. If they didn't give you free money to repay it, it'll just be with you forever. Yeah,
I'm just agreeing on the black and white comment. It's not black and white, unfortunately. Now, in the way that we've kind of we came about it in this episode, then that's definitely not what we're talking about. I mean, that's what we were talking about, versus now we're not talking about like if you need to go get a car loan, a 2-year car loan to help your credit score for a few years. You know what I mean? Help boost some stuff because you closed a credit card or you closed a bank account.
Bad debt.
We're talking about debt that you could have avoided.
Yeah.
It was not it was voluntary.
A debt that you had no intention of paying off.
Most of the people that get the student loans, they'll tell you. The honest ones are like, I've never anticipated on paying that thing back.
Yeah, if they're not going to require me to pay it off.
That was my beer money.
Well, I feel like the way of using
find beer money,
using kind of that using debt as an advantage is like the person that's using that could pay off that car tomorrow if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But they're using that debt to say, no, someone else can pay for this right now, and I could pay it off monthly. But I feel like it's the inverse with college. It's like I said, nobody's that person's never seen $250,000,
And they never will.
and they never
Yeah.
might never will, right?
Well,
and so you know,
think-
you can use it for your leverage, and you can use it to destroy you.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think with debt, it's like if I sign on the dotted line for a house, for example, right? If at any time, I believe contractually, I may be wrong, the bank can come and take your home tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think with education, it's not the same way. What is learned has been learned. They can't take that away. I think that's why they go along the lines of no relief unless you come up with this federal.
But they can
situation.
they can devalue it so much to where it's like, well, we need doctors, and it's like, okay, well, it's just the start of the pandemic. Of course, we need doctors right now, right? And then you get people into that, and then it's like, well, you have a degree, but how? What's the weight of it? What's the worth of it in 5 years when we don't have this quote unquote pandemic? Or, you know, so it's kind of like those degrees can have certain values over certain periods of time. So I don't know.
I agree with you, Casey. I think it also just all comes down to what that degree is on. A woman studies. That's
Could be taught at the community center.
okay. Yeah, we've had
Underwater basket weaving.
and we all know how we feel about that. But I mean, that's what I mean. The people that get those loans is they know they're never going to pay them off. So that's why this 10,000 is just not going to do anything but piss people off. And the people that are receiving the 10,000, they're like, yeah, I'm getting for it. You're not even going to notice.
It's just destruction.
You're not even going to notice it, to be honest with you. And the debt that you probably have ranked up, 10,000 is like 10 cents.
Drop
So
in the bucket.
it's kind of like in the middle of the pandemic when the government goes in and says, oh, okay, we shut down all these businesses. We made all these people can't go to work. We shut them all down. You can't pay your rent now. So you're renting someone else's property and you can't pay it now because we shut down the businesses.
They took your job.
So we're going to tell the owners of the property that they cannot charge you this month's rent or next month's rent.
But their property taxes come.
But the property tax is still going to keep coming. But
Yeah.
when the government steps in and says, oh, you've already made a contract with this other individual to pay you X amount of dollars
Per month.
this day or each
month.
month for this contract. And then the government comes in and is like, no.
It's good. You're
No,
good.
we're going to say that you cannot make them pay money on this for this month and this month because of whatever reason.
And
Sounds
they
like you
won't-
own my land and my
they,
property.
And they won't owe you in the future for it
They
either.
won't owe you back. You know,
It's
you don't
just
have
a
to pay me
wash
back.
this month.
So that's a huge red flag on the
Yeah.
property
Overreach.
rental market. You know, people invest in stocks or bonds or
Right.
crypto or real estate or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, gold and silver. So real estate's a big market. The government can just come in and say, oh, all these people that rent their properties to people that, oh, you can't collect money
Right.
because we said so.
Well, and not only that, so when
Huge
all
slap
the,
in the face for private property,
Well-
private agreements and contracts.
and then on top of that too, when all the riots were happening and stuff, the government straight up said, no, insurance companies don't have to pay you back if your business was destroyed during one of the riots.
Hmm. So our
I was unaware that you can tell my insurance company
You
what they're
guys
going to
can
pay
grab
me
a contract
for.
and shred it to
It's
pieces.
your fault that I'm in this
our
position.
insurance at the shop, there's a specific
Clause.
addition clause for stuff like that, terrorism
Yeah.
or rioting and
And
stuff
some
like
people
that.
never thought they were going to need this, though.
Mhm.
And these poor people that have worked and scrimped and saved, and they finally feel like they probably were making a profit that year. Here comes a riot, and you just tough titty.
Well, and,
You know what I
and they go
mean?
to protect their property and they get
Beaten,
bludgeoned
Yeah.
basically to death.
Oh well,
Or they get arrested for protecting their property with a firearm. Like, bro,
Or they
you're
get
not,
killed.
You're not going to protect me, so I can't even protect my own. What?
it's
That's
crazy.
madness.
You know, like the Kyle Rittenhouse case was kind of crazy because he actually used the drone footage from the FBI that they were droning they were
riot.
droning the riots, but nobody was actually there to intervene with anything. And that's kind of where they were able to say, well, he was at this certain point at this time, and the guy was running towards him, but nobody knew that they were actually droning, and they actually had to find that they were doing that.
Right.
And it's like, it's screwed up as crap.
It is. There's a lot of craziness in this world.
They're allowing the havoc to happen.
Oh, and when you name stuff as the forgiveness, I mean, just even the way that they're starting to name all this stuff. What was the other one?
Every
Something-
act and
Relief Act.
this and
Patriot Act.
Well, it's
everything they name
it
is
just-
not what
It is.
It's a complete opposite
It's
of what
just
they
a
name it.
headline because no one's
Well-
reading that stuff either, unfortunately.
well, let's go religious, real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody sinned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody had to pay for those sins.
Right.
Somebody's got debt. Somebody's got to pay for that. I mean, forgiveness. I mean,
Right.
the essence of forgiving something, right? Somebody had to pay for the forgiveness.
It doesn't
I
even
don't know
make
if
any
that-
sense when you say forgiveness, right? That's why forgiveness doesn't make any sense in this.
It's trying to make
context.
it sound like we understand that you had to pull out money and you've been trying to work it down. So let me just go ahead and give you. Like, we forgive you
for
for
making a
having
dumb
to
decision.
get a loan. We forgive you for not being able to pay this off. You're working so hard. We get it. When all terms is just being like, y'all are voting for us this November.
Yeah,
right?
some
Okay.
people are special, and we'll give them special privileges and
We're not even
benefits,
gonna
and
talk
other
about
people are not special. We won't give
how-
them
I
anything.
was gonna say we're not even talking about how white people now don't get better interest rates on mortgages and stuff.
How
Just
much?
for white?
How much? How
This
much
little
is your
shit.
vote worth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like even on the infomercial. Remember the JJ with the money? He's like, oh, call us today and let us know your zip code to see what
Oh, yeah.
benefits you get for your zip code. So what? Some zip codes are better than others,
Some
or
zip codes get
course.
Medicare and
yeah,
some don't. Why
you know
not?
why?
Like,
Why? You know.
and why was I not?
Why
told when I
wouldn't
moved
everyone
into
get it?
this?
Or
Yeah.
they thought that stuff was equal.
Yeah.
Why
or,
would
no-
this?
or nobody should get it.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's from
why?
the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, and why am I not told this when I'm buying a house in a certain county that doesn't have it, or not?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you look like you're 85 plus. You might need Medicare. This ain't the zip code.
Yeah,
for
like
you. Like,
when
come on. Like,
when they pushed in Obamacare, before you could just call any health insurance company that ran out of any state
oh yeah,
and would cover you no problem.
yeah,
Obamacare came in, you say, okay, I want to sign up. You know, I need insurance this year. They, oh well, what's your
they asked
zip
me,
code?
They asked me nothing about my health because at the time I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
have
they didn't worry
insurance,
about that.
and I was like, I'm gonna get
Yeah, what's your
charged
zip
on my
code? Is
taxes
all they
if I
cared about.
don't.
All they cared about. What's your zip code?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's no really providers out there, so you can't use it.
Yeah,
Because of my zip code, I have a car. People can travel. I mean,
Yeah.
who cares what zip code you're in?
no,
It's
it
like these
was-
special privileges that they pick for
yeah.
special areas and special people. And if you're not one of them, then
Sounds
you're
like
excluded.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a voting district.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty
and it's
much.
like we have fought, right,
Yeah.
for voting rights for women and people of color, right? Okay. How many people had to sacrifice for those voting rights that you're now trading for $10,000 of trash cash from the federal government
Right.
or an Obama phone, right? I mean, are your personal freedoms worth more than that? I mean, are we getting down to, I mean,
What can the
How-
government give you?
how
to,
low will you
uh,
go? How low will you go so we
what
can
the,
buy you?
What can the government
Well,
buy you with this
But that,
this
I
year?
mean, that's a bigger question. That goes down to you have to look at how the average individual lives nowadays versus some of us are, have seen the light sooner, I guess is the way to put it, or just living a different lifestyle. Like you and I are out here. Clearly, the effect of stuff, and you and I talked about this before, the stuff that happens, the crazy stuff that happens, the mental health issues and everything that you see with a lot of people are in inner cities, bigger populations, bigger concentration of everyone with each other. When you remove yourself from all that, when people come out here, like you guys making the trip, I used to always, like when y'all first started come out here, I used to hate it. I'd be like, I got to make that long drive. They're going to hate coming out here. But then it
This
turns
is Christy's
into,
opinion, not our opinion.
No, I know, but then it does turn into, I forget, because my girlfriend came and she actually learned how far out we were. And she was even like, now it's an addiction. She was like, just being away from everything, being able to just slow down, take a breath, realize
Drive
not
as
everything.
fast as you want.
Mhm.
Not only that, not realizing that like everything is centered around this office space that I overwork 24/7, or this image I'm trying to keep up, or followers, or this or that, and all that kind of stuff. She was like, I was there for 2.5 days, and now that's all I can think about is we need to get space. We need to remove ourselves from everything. So I think what everyone feeds into is because that's what they're constantly fed. I see it with my sister working in a hospital. We're very conservative people. My sister has obviously been working in a hospital or on an ambulance most of her life. So her environment's different. What she's fed 24/7 is different than what we're fed 24/7. So when you're fed it, that's the only life you know that's out there. The life out here on our property is a life that people see in movies. And I don't mean that to say like we're living the life out here. I'm just saying like people don't think this is graspable. This is something everyone can be doing. This isn't for the select few. It's just when you decide to make the choice to do it.
Right. Once again, it goes back to proper planning and growing pains. It's like we made a decision to be out here because we prioritize our mental health. We prioritize having a place to detox. We prioritize, someone else might say, I want to be in the medical district, and where they put their mental health might be 5th or 4th. And that's just the life they chose. But I feel like sometimes that can get people into an area where they don't let their brain to rest.
Oh, most definitely not. Yeah, overstimulated, overstressed all the time.
And then one day something terrible happens in their family, or someone dies, and then their brain just snaps. They're not the same person. We've had that with the flood that we had. You know, people were just constantly being overstimulated every single day with this flood thing, and then there's elderly people around us that go, they're just out of life forever now. Like their brains are just turned off.
You can't handle that after some point. You really can't. And it sometimes doesn't even it takes something drastic to happen. Sometimes it just takes a moment for you to get to breathe, that you're like, I have to do more of that. That was better than that. And then you start realizing, like I said, the job stops being the priority. The spending time for yourself with other people away from it becomes a priority. It's just right now, everything is always fed. If you're not working, you're dying. It goes back to debt, though. If you're not working, you're not paying off your debt. If you're not paying off your debt, you're dying. You know what I mean?
Just life choices.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, that was a little bit about student loan forgiveness, how to use your time wisely, how to find stuff for an affordable price, knowledge, information. And so we hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave a like, comment your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Yeah, I mean, it's good.